The world is on fire again, but this time, it's not a warning, it's a reality. World War III is no longer a prediction. It is no longer a hypothetical scenario discussed in political circles or military think tanks. It has arrived, terrifying, raw, and real. The conflict between the United States, Israel, and Iran has exploded into a global catastrophe. Missiles roar across the Middle East. Cities lie in ruins. Nations are choosing sides. The very future of global stability is hanging by a thread. This war didn't start overnight. It was a buildup of decades of hostility, religious tensions, nuclear threats, and a never-ending cycle of proxy battles. Iran, long at odds with both the US and Israel, had been accused of developing nuclear weapons in secret, despite global sanctions. Israel, considering that a threat to its very existence, launched a preemptive strike on suspected Iranian nuclear facilities. In retaliation, Iran launched missile attacks on Israeli military bases, claiming hundreds of lives. Within hours, the United States, Israel's closest ally, activated its full military might. The skies over Tehran, Tel Aviv, Baghdad, and Damascus turned black with smoke. Fighter jets, drones, cyber attacks, every tool of modern warfare unleashed in full force. President of the United States, in a televised speech, declared, "This is a war to protect our allies, our interests, and the future of democracy in the Middle East." Meanwhile, Iran's supreme leader responded with fire and fury, "We will resist oppression. We will burn the Zionist regime to the ground." The world held its breath. Across the Atlantic, Britain watched closely. While not directly involved in the initial strikes, the British government was soon drawn in. Allies of the US, members of NATO, and historical players in Middle Eastern politics, Britain could not remain neutral for long. On Britain News, the headlines read, "World on brink, UK PM urges caution amidst U.S. Iran-Israel crisis." Public protests erupted in London, Manchester, and Glasgow, as citizens demanded peace. But behind closed doors, British intelligence agencies were already preparing for the worst. China warns the West. Russia flexes its nuclear arsenal. Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq become battlegrounds again. The Red Sea, Persian Gulf, and Strait of Hormuz are choked with warships. Fuel prices skyrocket. Stock markets crash. Global supply chains collapse. This isn't just a regional war. It is now a global shockwave. Millions flee. Refugees pour into Europe. Hospitals are overwhelmed. The United Nations calls it the greatest humanitarian disaster since World War II. While governments argue and armies strike, it's the innocent civilians who suffer the most. A mother in Gaza, holding her child, cries out for help as her home is bombed. A boy in Tehran, trapped under rubble, screams for his father. A medic in Haifa, overwhelmed by casualties, begs for supplies. This is not war. This is hell. Iran, under pressure and losing ground, signals its readiness to use non-conventional weapons. The US puts its nuclear forces on high alert. Israel activates its missile defense systems. Tensions rise beyond breaking point. One wrong move, and the nuclear winter begins. Is humanity prepared to witness its own extinction? As this chaos unfolds, historians remind the world of a chilling lesson from the past. Adolf Hitler rose to power on hatred, fear, and lies. He led the world into a war that killed over 70 million people. Today, once again, hatred, fear, and power games have plunged us into darkness. Have we learned nothing? Are we repeating the very madness we swore to never allow again? Diplomats beg for peace. Nations urge restraint. But will anyone listen? The United Nations is powerless. The people are screaming. The leaders are blind. This is World War III. Not a movie. Not a game. Not fiction. It's our world. Our reality. Our nightmare. And unless humanity awakens, there may be no one left to tell the story of what we did to ourselves. If you're watching this on Britain News, please subscribe, stay informed, and speak for peace. Because silence now might cost us everything.